Welcome back. Today is day 4 of our 30-day Speak to the Camera challenge. I'm Shirley, and for today's topic I thought I'd talk about a really useful tool that I have been using for quite a few years, and especially more so in the past 2 or 3 years, just to learn more about myself and why I came to be in the situation I'm now, and to learn what not to do again, and as well as what to do. And that tool that I use a lot for the past 2 years is journaling. So I don't know about you, I am 56 now, and over the years sometimes I think, why do I keep making these mistakes? And for example, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that I am starting all over again from scratch pretty much since last year, when I moved out of my ex's apartment. And for the biggest reason, I thought there is no way ever again am I going to go through this situation. And I knew I had to think about what got me into that situation. Now, I can't remember if I mentioned this in yesterday's video, but a lot of the time we just go through life doing the same thing over and over again, or I have. Obviously, that got me into this situation. So as I'm thinking, well, let me start analysing what I'm doing wrong or what I've done wrong. And to be honest, journaling is something that I've done since probably I was in my early 20s. But at those times, because as you are at that age, you've got not much life experience, you're fumbling through life trying to do the best that you can. And so I wrote what I call a journal, but it was more really like a diary from the time I was in my 20s. However, as I've got older and I've found that here I am again, I'm doing the same thing, and I am one of those people who had low self-esteem, and I probably do still have low self-esteem, but I'm a lot better than I was this time last year, for example, having used the tool of journaling. And although I remember, I think I was in my late 30s, early 40s, that I did actually go and see a counsellor, or probably in other countries they're called therapists. And even at the time it was £90 an hour, so you can imagine how expensive they are now, or maybe not so expensive because there's probably a lot more of them. And I found that although talking therapies is really helpful, you can't really get what you really want to speak about in that hour space. And to be able to get down to the roots of your problems, you would probably go into the hundreds, if not thousands, of paying somebody else while you talk. And the other thing is, yes, you can say, oh, how about your friends, and have you not got anyone to speak with? And yes, I do. But I don't know if you've experienced this, that when you speak to people, it's either what you tell them may travel to other people's ears, or then the information that you've shared may be used against you along the way. And maybe that's just a bit telling of the types of friends that I have, but I just think when I talk to people and they tell me things about other people, I just think, well, if you're sharing information with me that someone has told you, I know that you'll be sharing information about me to other people. So over time, I've learned really not to share information about how I feel or what happened to me to too many people. And that's how I came to be relying on journals. And let me actually, and this is my current journal. As you can see, it's not fancy, and I have written quite a bit. That is, I started that in 2024 because I came here last October, living with my family. Before that, I had another pad for 2023, which I stopped writing in. Normally I would write in the journal until I finished it, but for me the 2023 journal was the most, or one excuse me, one of the most stressful, horrific, anxiety inducing times of my life. And starting this year, I thought, no, I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to write in the 2023 journal because I just want it as a closed chapter. And that's why I started 2024 with a new pad. And I know you can buy lots of nice, pretty journals out there nowadays, but for me, I use just that plain A4 pad, and it's more the narrow rule, so you get more space for your buck, so to speak. But I do it, I write on that so I can personalize it, that I don't have other people's arty-farty work just to make it pretty, which pretty the things I write in there isn't always pretty. So I prefer it to be plain. It's my story, and that's what I want it to be. So that is what has really helped me learn from my mistakes, so to speak, because I think when we're carrying on with life, we go through day-to-day life, but we never do a reflection back on how we've lived our life, the decisions that we make, the actions that we take, or the lack of action that we don't take, if that makes English. And I guess that has been my issue for time immemorial, that I'm thinking, like a lot of us, I think we run away from our feelings, our situations, thinking that, I'm going to go and buy a dress, which I don't do, to be honest. I'm more likely, when I had the money, I'd go and buy some really nice expensive makeup, or I would go to a spa. And if I had the money, that's something that I would do, is go to a spa. And I'm desperate to go to a spa, because I find that having that time on my own, whether I'm having a massage or under a nice therapeutic waterfall, it really lifts my spirit, better than buying a dress. So, however, when it comes to journaling, what I've found is that I'm able to write down my thoughts, and this is the biggest thing that has helped me with what's gone on in my life and learning where I've made mistakes. And that's the one thing, I don't know if I mentioned it in yesterday's video, that we can only control ourselves. And actually, I think it was this video that I was preparing for that's reminded me that we can only control ourselves and our actions, our thoughts, our feelings, and there is nothing we can do to make other people change, make other people like us, make other people treat us how we would like to be treated. We can only change ourselves, and it's either other people change around us according to how we are, or we take ourselves out of that situation and just be ourselves, do what makes us happy. And if other people can't join us on our journey, that means that probably their part in our life is done, maybe for the time being, maybe forever. Those are the sort of things that has helped me realize my part in what's happened in my life. So today I thought I would share with you how you can use journaling to maybe try and figure out what's going on in your world, or what's going on with you, and how you can probably, if you want to, make changes in your life. So I'm not going to show you what's in it, but basically this is how I've set it up. I can't remember what the name of the note-taking system was, but I learnt a few years ago when I was studying for my nutrition, that this bit here is where you write the subject, or the note, the phrase, or whatever you're wanting to take notes about, and the rest is the space where you write your own notes. I mean, I do it like that namely because and I should make this section here a bit smaller, because sometimes, especially for my journal, it's a bit of a waste of space. Yeah, so the reason I put lines on as well is because I find it therapeutic. Come on, you don't need your brains to write lines, do you? To draw lines in. So, right, so how can you use this journaling to help you not plan your life, but learn from what's going on, mistakes? I don't want to say mistakes because it makes it sound bad, but learn from your life experiences and make your life better. So the first way to use your journal is a brain dump. That's what I would call it. So basically you are writing everything down on your journal. What's annoying you, what you're anxious about, what pisses you off, or who's pissing you off, excuse my French. What's happened in a certain situation that's really bugging you, and whatever you feel like that you need to get off your chest. So that's one way of using the journal, and I'll talk more about that in my point 4. So the next way of using your journal is for goal setting and planning. And this is the one thing that I've done, and in terms of goal setting and planning, to be honest, I use it more for sort of my manifesting book. And you know, if you watched some of my videos previously, that I love things about the law of assumption, or the law of attraction, and that is how I partly use the yeah, that's partly how I use my journal. Is I will script something, or I will write something, and they have come true, especially my move last year. So I pretty much wrote, I knew that last year I was, from 2022, I already knew that I could feel it in my bones, so to speak, that 2023 I was going to move out of the flat I shared with this person. I didn't know how, but I knew for some reason it was going to happen. Maybe it was me manifesting it myself. I just wish that the situation had been a bit more happier, but there you go. So I wrote down not where I want to be, but where I would like my new home to be. So I put down, it's safe, it's gated, it's clean, I'm living with nice neighbours, and within 2 weeks that flat manifested. I wished I'd written more of what I would have liked my neighbours or people I was living with to be a bit nicer, but there you go. That's just my lesson of being a bit more specific when it comes to my manifesting journal. So that's the other thing. Write about your plans, write about how you'd like your life to be. Do it in a way that it's not censored. Because this is the thing I was saying just at the beginning about when we talk to people, we tend to just don't really want to tell them everything. Whereas in a journal, and I think the one important thing is to keep it safe, where you don't really want people to be reading your personal inner thoughts and feelings. So make sure you put your journal somewhere safe if you don't want people reading them. So if you don't mind, then that's great, but I think for me in that situation it wouldn't allow me to speak freely or to write freely, is how I feel. Yeah, so writing your goals and plans, or how you'd like your life to be. So the third way is, oh, I missed one. Oh, this was my second on my list. So the third way is to write down happy memories that you've experienced, or use it as a gratitude journal. And to be honest, I'm guilty for this one, because when things are happy with me, I tend to be so busy enjoying those great times that I forget to write it down. But I do have a memory jar. I don't know if you can see it. I think it's probably around there somewhere. Around there. I don't know if you can't see it because of the plant. But what I have is a jar that I put things like receipts, or the Prosecco cork from New Year, all those things are a receipt from when I went to see my friend in London. So all those things is where I've got my happy memories, because sometimes it's easier just to collect things that reminds you of a happy time. And like I said, I'm guilty for not writing those happy memories down. And it's also a gratitude journal. So a lot of people, they talk about writing 3 things down that you're grateful for. And admittedly, when things are going really well, I'll just think, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I thank the universe, God, however you want to call this powerful energy that we live in. So that is number 3. And number 4 is the biggest way of how I have been using my journal. So I said in step 1 is to use the journal as a brain dump, and a lot of the time I do that, but then I continue on with that brain dump by reflecting on the situation that's happened. And someone said to me one time, I don't find journals very useful. I write about my day and what's happened and blah blah blah. That's how I got. Now, the reason that that won't work, and I agree it wouldn't work like that, is because you have to have the courage to look within you. Why did the situation happen? What part did you play in it? How did the situation make you feel? Why do you feel that you got yourself into that situation? Is it low self-esteem? You just wanted someone to like you? Is it validation? Is it I don't feel good enough? I don't feel worthy enough? If I don't look like this or have enough money, I'm not worthy to be here, there, or with people. And those are the sort of things that I have had to face in myself to learn from the situation, to make sure I'm never, hopefully, ever gonna go through the situation that I've been in, that I just got myself out of. Those are the things that I faced about myself. And this is me taking accountability for what happened. That I can only control what I feel or what I do. I can't control other people. And that has been a really hard pill to swallow, because other situations. But what's happened is that when you face your fears, those deep, dark thoughts and feelings, those things that you bury because you're scared to face them, or you're scared to admit that about yourself. What happens is that when I'm writing these things, I'm being honest and true about how I felt, or how I'm feeling, or how I got myself into these situations. You start creating that space between you and what you did. And I say what you did because if we can't accept what we did, we can't change it. And that is the power in this tool. It makes you accept responsibility for your own action. And when you take that responsibility back in your hand, you have the power to change your future. And that has been my biggest learning, and that has been the biggest thing that, although I'm not currently in the ideal situation I would like to be in, I know I'm on the way to where I would like to be. And that is how I think I went on quite a lot. I may have to cut this. And that's how I feel a lot more comfortable with myself and a lot more confident and worthy in myself as a person. And that's why I talk about in the last video, whereby I said I was anxious to go back and see this person again, but when I was there, I didn't really have the anxious feelings that I thought I was going to have. I was more indifferent, and that for me is strong compared to how I was this time last year. That I would have probably been a lot more emotional and felt like, why did you do this to me? Why have I done to you? Sorry, but another, excuse my French, bollocks. And that is how a lot stronger I feel nowadays, because of all the demons that I've had to face and work with and confront and overcome. So, ooh, this video has gone on really long. I know that it's over 20 minutes. I'm not sure whether I'm going to cut it, or maybe I'll just leave it on, because hopefully you'll find it interesting. So on that point, I'm gonna cut it there, and I'll see you tomorrow.